Ms Legalista here, aka Attorney Shayla, doing a live. And it's been a while since I've done a live. I actually was going to do one on June 1st. Today is June 5th. I was going to do one June 1st, but I was having some issues, not sure what was going on with the two laptops I have here, but there was a problem and I could not get it worked out. But I have everything worked out now, and we are going to be talking about Elizabeth Holmes, the former CEO and founder of Theranos. Remember, Theranos was the company that was supposed to provide the testing with one drop of blood, and you'd be able to find out your results for a whole bunch of tests. And then we found out the whole thing was a lie. Her former partner, Sunny Bawani, has already, of course, been sentenced and he's been serving time. Elizabeth Holmes finally reported to prison. Now she's at, let me see if I can pull this up. She is serving at the federal prison camp in Bryan, Texas. Let me see if I can pull that picture up so you guys can see this. This is a minimum security prison camp down in Texas. So she just started. Now remember, part of the concern that kept popping up, and I guess popping is sort of a pun, I hadn't even thought about it, but she's been pregnant as the trial went on, and then when sentencing came back around, she was pregnant again. And there were some people who thought that maybe she planned it because it might be a way to get more sympathy from the jury. But of course, she was found guilty on fraud and conspiracy charges. And here's the thing, it was investor fraud. It wasn't even fraud as it related to people who walked into, I want to say it was Walgreens, I could be wrong, walked into Walgreens and had some of these tests done only to find out that the test didn't even work. So she didn't get convicted of fraud relating to that. She got convicted of fraud relating to information that was provided to investors. Basically, it was, hey, I lied to investors. I told them that this, I forgot what, Edison was the name of it, I believe, that Edison worked and it actually didn't. So she is now here. But you know, when she submitted some of her documents for the sentencing, she was actually sentenced to 11 years and 3 months. When she submitted documents for that, she included information from her life. You know, some of her family members submitted letters. She actually had a ton of letters that were submitted. But along with the ones that she and I think her partner Billy Evans, I think they may be married at the time, now, there were a lot of personal photographs. And here's one of them. So now she's serving this time and she actually has two young children. They have two young children. The young boy was born in July 2021. So he is just about ready to turn 2 years old. And then the daughter, the son's name's William, the daughter's name's Invicta, which my understanding is that means invincible or something like that. But yes, the daughter was just born a few months ago, earlier this year. So she is now reporting to prison and leaving behind two young children. And this was one of the photographs that were included with the documents that they submitted for her sentencing memo. Now she's going to be serving, I think, 11 years and 3 months. So the boy is going to be what, around 13 if she has to serve that full time, and the daughter will, I guess, be around 11 or so. But it's still, you know, it's a little heartbreaking to know that the children won't really grow up with both of the parents there. This is not, you know, something that's easy to digest. For instance, you want the person who has committed the crime to serve their time, but there's also this concern about, well, what about the children? I think in this case it was particularly concerning for some people because the thinking was, hey, there's a trial underway and you've now decided to get pregnant. Hey, you've been convicted and you're coming back for sentencing and you're pregnant. So some people were concerned about bringing two children into the world when you know that you aren't going to be there in the way that you really hope that you can be there, which is in person and by their side and helping them to grow up. So a lot of these pictures were directly from the sentencing memo, and there were quite a few of them. Now, as you can see, they redacted the faces, so you don't necessarily see the face of the boy. This would be the face of the boy that was born. This is William, I guess was his name. And then you have, oh, this is a really bad one that I did. I guess I could have fixed this had I known it was a problem. But this was just a picture of her and him, and then I guess a big collage of them. I wonder which picture I was trying to do with that one. And here's another one, and let's get to another one you can see. All right, so here we have her on the bed, William's on the bed also. And that's their dog there. So yeah, and I wonder if this was the same dog that passed. I remember there were some issues about the dog maybe having gone off into the woods and died, and the husband was sort of like, okay, he's gone, and she was thinking it was still there. I could be mixing this up with an entirely different story. But yeah, so she's going to be serving this time away from both of these young children. And she isn't the only one. Now think about this, there are women all across the country who are sentenced every day who have young children and who are separated from them. And although sometimes that's taken into account, you know, how do you balance this? How do you say, how do we put you in jail, but then we know that this is going to impact the kids? So I want to bring up the document from, I guess, the prison camp so that we can see how they're going to be interacting, because again, she's got these two children, and you know, visitation, I don't know, is that something, is the setting quite right? Is that how you want to do that? But there are phone calls, and there is this option for being able to have video, I guess video chats or video calls or something like that. But let me see if I can pull this up so we can take a look at it. We've got the handbook here that comes from the prison center here. Let me see if I can scroll back through this so that I can actually find some of this. Oh, I don't want to be quite that big. How about this big? Let's go through this now that we've looked at some of these pictures with her and the son, because now she's got the son and she's got this baby girl. How is she going to be able to visit with them now? And let me see if I can go through and find. So there are a couple of ways to do this. And like I said, one is they've got the phone calls you can make. Okay, everybody's used to that. It says inmates may correspond with friends and family using public messaging. This is a restricted version of email that will only allow text messages and no attachments. There is a cost per minute fee for using this service. Messages are limited to 13,000 characters. So yeah, so there's a cost. So I mean, here's the thing, in prison there's a cost for everything. Nothing is free. So even the telephone calls here. So it says each inmate will be provided a 9-digit phone access code for accessing True Phone. The hours of telephone operation begin at 6 a.m. and end no later than 11:30 p.m. Inmate access to telephones will normally be limited during the following times. And you've got the times listed there: 7:30 a.m. until 10:30 a.m. and then 12:30 p.m. until after 4 p.m. count. It says inmates are expected to be at their work assignments and must not use the telephone during their work hours. All calls are limited to 15 minutes. Telephone calls are subject to monitoring and recording by institution staff. I don't know that there's a whole lot that's, going to be going on here in terms of conversation with the kids because they're still really young. Maybe the boy, because I guess he's around 2 now, the young boy. But at least they get to hear her voice, and they can mix it up. And I guess the text messaging works for maybe her parents, and I think she has a brother too, and her husband, and any friends that may work with, I guess. And then, of course, you have the inmate video visiting. And so here's the thing about technology, to some extent, this has made it possible for people who might not be able to get there in person, might not want to be there in person for whatever reason. Well, now we have video visiting, and it would allow this opportunity. It says here, to maintain the morale of the inmate and to develop closer relationships between the inmate and family members and others in the community. So they have this True Links video service, so she can use that and the kids will be able to see her. That's good, because you would hate this situation where the kids don't even get an opportunity to see their mom and talk to their mom and get used to their face. I mean, the baby girl is only a couple of months old. Think about that. She's only a couple of months old. And like I said before, this is with all families. This is not just this one. I'm just using this one to talk about, what a lot of families would have to go through. Each video session, let's see what we get. Each video session is 25 minutes in length, and sessions begin at the top and the bottom of the hour. So I think that's a reasonable amount of time, 25 sessions, 25 minutes. I'm thinking about how long I talk to people, and yeah, 25 minutes, I'm about ready to get off the phone. We'll see how that goes. The cost of the video session is $6. Like I said before, everything costs in the prison system and is charged at the time the session is requested by the inmate, regardless of how many minutes are spent in the session. So it's not a per minute cost, it is a per session cost. They can be canceled, and then there's some sort of refund here. The process for that, so we see that. Inmates confined in segregation units will not have access to conduct remote video sessions. So she will want to make sure that she does not get confined to a segregation unit, because then she wouldn't have access to that. Inmates who are restricted from using the public messaging service are also prohibited from using the video service. And no refunds if the system malfunctions. All right, so let's see what other kind of restrictions they have on this. It says inmates may only communicate with authorized persons. So they have to provide a contact list with an email address. Must be approved, and the contacts must accept the invitation from a Windows 7 or better PC with a webcam, audio device, and microphone, and they have to install a certain application to be able to do this. So you're talking about, her doing this with people who are going to want to frequently have conversations with her. So this is most likely going to be her husband and, him having the children there so that they can see her. And then, of course, likely other family members and maybe some really, really close friends. But it probably sounds like it's going to be family members here. And like I said before, this is, in her case, this was, and my phone is just going off now. In her case, the thing about this was she got pregnant while the trial was underway, while, she was waiting for sentencing. And some people are thinking, this didn't have to be done this way. But when you take into account someone's age, she and Billy may have felt like this was the only option they had. They may have felt like if they waited too long, they might lose that option. I don't know. And then, of course, like I said before, some people were feeling that this whole thing was just Elizabeth Holmes' scam 2.0, where she's trying to get sympathy from the jury by appearing pregnant during the trial and at the sentencing in front of the judge. So I don't know, but here's how they're going to be able to try to maintain family relationships now that she is serving her time. And, there's a whole lot less information about her partner, Sunny Balwani. Like, nobody's really interested in him as much. People are more interested in her because, number one, she was sort of the real face of it all. She was the one who was constantly put out there, and I'm going to switch for a second. She was the one who was constantly put out there. She was on the cover of Forbes and all these magazines touting her because of her young age and saying, oh, she was a Stanford dropout, and look at all of the great things and ideas that are coming out of her. And so there's been a lot of conversation too about the whole dynamic of institutions like Forbes magazine and the technology space in general, and whether or not these are promoting people who are just coming forward in a way with projects and ideas and new companies that just don't have any basis there. I think you have like Charlie Javis now, who had the Frank education program where people were going to be signing up. These were students, and she sells it to JP Morgan Chase Bank, only to find out that most of what she has been claiming is not true. Again, another poster child lifted up as one of these rah-rah people. Look how wonderful she is, and this great idea she has come up with. And people are now saying, hey, we're having some concerns about how these, 40 under 40 or whatever it is are being picked, because we're looking at some of them and saying, well, they're just, these are not the people we should be picking. Look at them. They have made some really bad choices here. They're now being, I guess in Elizabeth Holmes's case, convicted of fraud. Charlie Javis's case, sued by JP Morgan Chase for all of the money that they paid for what looks like it may be a whole fraudulent setup with fake students. So yeah, there was some feeling out there that maybe Elizabeth Holmes got pregnant in order to have some sympathy, and that maybe she wouldn't get convicted for all of the crimes that she was actually charged for, and she didn't. And that maybe she would get less time than Sunny Balwani. And guess who got less time? She got less time. Sunny Balwani got more time. And maybe, so yeah. So people were actually thinking that this was part of a plan for her. But there's no way to really know here. Like I said before, we had some of these pictures. Let me see if I can go back here. Of, again, they submitted these personal pictures with their sentencing memo, and there were a lot of letters that were submitted. A lot. You guys can go back and look at them. It's been months since I did those letters, but you had a letter from Senator Cory Booker. Now, when I talked about that letter, it was interesting to me that he talked about the criminal justice system as a whole, kind of. He didn't really double down and say, Elizabeth Holmes is this great and wonderful person, and here are all of the things that she's been doing. And, it wasn't that kind of letter. I didn't necessarily find it to be an overwhelmingly support letter for her. It's very different from the letter that Billy Evans, her husband or partner, wrote for her, or her parents, people who knew her really well and had known her a long time. So you had these pictures that were submitted, very personal pictures, in my opinion. And of course, like I said before, this is William, the son, who's now, I guess, going to be like 2 years old. And so people do have some concerns. All right, so 12 Hebrew tribes, welcome. Glad to have you on board, just sharing some information about Elizabeth Holmes and her now finally reporting to jail. Because here's the thing, it got put off. It wasn't just yes, she's pregnant and she's showing up in front of the jury pregnant, but then she had to have the baby. And it's sort of like, okay, well, now you've got to recover from that. And so if there's something active going on in court, then you have to have a delay for some of that. And so her pregnancies did impact how things were carried out during this whole legal process. So we have to remember that even though she didn't necessarily get some sort of really, really light sentence, it did impact. But the question too is, some people are saying, hey, was this a good decision on their part? And I think for a family, that's something they have to determine. It really is. Let's see, did I have any more questions about this? I think the other thing too, two more things. The other thing too is, I don't know how old she is. So how old was she going to be when she gets out of jail 11 years later? So it's sort of like, there's a whole science and biology aspect going on here. How old are the eggs going to be? Can we freeze the eggs? Or do we have children now knowing that we aren't going to be there for them? Do we wait and risk not being able to have them? Or do we have them now because we want to have them with the knowledge that I'm going to be in jail, that she's understanding that she is likely going to be in jail. Now, here's the other thing, because some people have said this too. Well, I think she was so full of herself that she didn't think she was going to jail. Some people have said that. And so you carry out your life and you keep doing and living as if nothing has changed for you, and you make decisions thinking that's going to be the case. And some people have said that they just felt like she didn't care, it didn't matter, and that she was just going to live her life because she didn't think she was going to go to jail. I don't know. I mean, there's no way to really know that. And here's the other thing, okay? So $452 million. Don't forget that. That is out there. $452 million in restitution. One of the things that I've been trying to talk about lately is how do we give people second chances so that when they get out, they're able to find a way to make stable income and start to repair the damage that they did. Now, in this case, remember what I said before was she was really convicted of more investor fraud than she was fraud against the clients, the people who actually showed up and purchased the services of having these blood tests done. It was more about investor fraud. 452 million because of that and the conspiracy charge. So how does she get out of prison 11 years from now and start to do some sort of work that pays off that money? Like, that's a lot of money. And I've talked a little bit about that too with Billy McFarland. Now, I know if you remember Billy McFarland, he was, and I don't think I have a picture of him. I should go to his Twitter page. Let me see if I can bring that up, because I'm going to do another video on Billy, because Billy has said that he is going to try to pay back the money. Let's see, he's actually using Pirate Billy now. I did a video on that too. Like, I can't believe you came up with Pirate Billy as a way, like, that was such a bad idea. I personally think it's a bad idea. Maybe he thought it was a good idea. Maybe he thought it was a good idea. I don't think it's a good idea. If you've been convicted of fraud because you were having a music festival on an island and people were coming there and you had promoted this whole image of being on the beach with celebrities, and then the whole thing falls apart, and the very next thing that you want to do when you get out is start a new festival or something new, and you're calling yourself Pirate Billy. Pirate? A person who takes from others on the sea? Why would you want to use that name? Where is your PR company? Who is advising you that this is a good idea, because I still don't think it is, but you know, that's what he's calling it. Let me see if I can pull this up so we can see this. So this is his Twitter. Like I said, I'm going to go back and talk about him in another video about his restitution. But yeah, so so Elizabeth Holmes is going to have to go down the same route when she gets out. And it's, how do I pay back restitution when I get out of prison? You know, so part of it is I've got to get this family life back together, because, you know, when she gets out 11 years from now, think about it. The son's going to be like 13, daughter's going to be like 11. So these kids are going to be practically teenagers at that point. But there's also going to be this restitution aspect. Well, Billy has now, you know, came up with a few ideas, you guys, and I've been talking about them. One of them was the whole, I'm going to sell cheese sandwiches for $5. No, you know, and he's got some other stuff that I know I sound like I just can't handle it. And my whole thinking here is, how do we give people an opportunity to have a second chance and to pay back this restitution? Remember, there were a lot of people who paid a lot of money to attend the festival, only to arrive there and there's no festival. There's hardly any food. The tents and the mattresses are all over everywhere. Some of them are soaked. People can't figure out how to even get back home. It's a total nightmare. And now you're calling yourself Pirate Billy, and you're hawking cheese sandwiches and some other things. Look, don't get me wrong. I actually want him to succeed. I want him to do better. I just don't know that this is the right way to do it. All right, let's see. Speaking of restitution, there is a southern state. If you're drunk and you kill a parent, when you get out of jail, you have to pay child support. You know, there's a lot to be said for what restitution can cover and what it can't. Because in some cases, you might not have, you know, depending upon what you took from that other party, restitution may not be enough. You know, paying somebody back for the harm that you caused may not be enough. And like I said, in Elizabeth Holmes' case, she's got $452 million in restitution. I think Billy has, if I remember correctly, around $27 million in restitution. I could be wrong, you guys, but if I recall correctly, that's what it is. But yes, so he's, you know, hawking the Pirate Billy thing, which I don't necessarily think is the best route to go. It's all about him. And if you look at some of the comments from some of the other videos that I've done about him, people have said, you know, why doesn't he just go get a job? And one of the things I mentioned was, you know, some people are not going to want to hire him. You know, let's just be real. We talk about second chances sometimes, but sometimes we're just like, you know, my business partners or the shareholders or the line of work that I'm in, that's just not doable. Okay, I get it. But yeah, so he may have a hard road there. I think for some people, he's going to have to prove himself a little bit before people will trust him again. But here's the other thing. You know, he puts some of these tweets out here now. It's a shipping code and building pirate ships. You guys, I still think I'm still having a hard time with that. And he did this whole jet ski thing, which again made me feel like, yeah, this one was the bad one. I'm going to do a whole separate video where I'm just talking about this one, but I got to talk about this now. This part where he's asking for $100K minimum monthly retainer. I mean, look at this. Let me go back up here. My pirate ship is almost ready and has room for 3 more brands. To do what? To do what? Like, what is it you're trying to sell? Requirements: 100K minimum monthly retainer. For what? Summer house for my team with dock for my jet ski so I can properly commute, and direct CEO comms. So this whole jet ski thing, he did this video a while back of him like supposedly taking the jet ski to work. Again, the image, I don't know who he's listening to that's telling him this is a really good idea. But I do want to say this. There are plenty of people, when you're reading some of the comments, there are plenty of people who still support him and who still want him to get it right. And I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting somebody to get it right, wanting somebody to pay the restitution, to say, I'm sorry, I messed up. I got it wrong. I did it wrong. I want to try again. Can I try again? Will you let me try again? Understand that some people are going to be like, no, or they're going to be like, yes, you can try again. Just not with me, just not with my money. But you are welcome to try it again as many times as you would like. Just not with my money. Some people are like, burn me once and that's it. And I totally get that. Can he just go out and get a job? Maybe he gets a job plus he does some other things on the side. The hawking $5 cheese sandwiches did not work. This 100K minimum monthly retainer, it's not even clear what he's talking about. I read this and I was just like, dude, what are you talking about? My pirate ship is almost ready. So he is doubling down on this pirate theme, which I just like, I want to cringe at, to be honest. So he's doubling down on that. And he says he has room for 3 more brands. 3 more brands to do what? And here's the thing. If you're selling something and you're trying to establish a relationship with brands, you really don't want to work with just any brands. You typically want to take some time and actually pick and choose brands that are going to work well with you, your company, the value that you're trying to bring, and that other people will get something out of, and that is not just about you. And yet he goes, have room for 3 more brands. I don't know what he's talking about. I really don't. And it comes across a little still as, Scammy Billy 2.0. And so I wish that he would work with this a little bit more. 100K minimum monthly retainer. I don't know. Who's going to give money for that? I don't know. He says 3 more brands. And 3 more brands, more tends to sound like, well, hey, I've already got some, so won't you join us? Again, here's the thing, okay, that I want you to pick up when you're reading things like this, okay? Because this is the trick to you right now. I have 7 people on this. Here's the thing that I want you to remember when you're looking at something like this. The idea that he's trying to get across is one of exclusivity and urgency. I have something, and right now I've got room for only 3 more people, and you can be one of those 3 people. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, the whole idea is that I've got this exclusive VIP club thing going on, people, but I'm going to let you in. This is why I say that it feels kind of like Scammy Billy 2.0. And as opposed to just laying out the facts and saying, okay, here's what I'm trying to do. Here's why I'm trying to do it. This is, here's a list of brands that I'm working with. And I've sat down with each one of them. We've gone over the challenges, the mistakes that I made in the past. Like, just being upfront and transparent about what is going on. But no, okay, we're going to create this feeling of exclusivity because I only got room for 3. And so it can't be everybody who can get with me. It can only be 3 more. And then there's also this sense of urgency. You got to get it soon because you don't know. It might be just 1 now. And that is typically what you see when people are pushing scams. And I'm not saying that that's what this is. I'm just saying it is this exclusive, urgent. You got to make a decision right now. You guys know what hard selling looks like. It's the same sort of hard sell tactics. And this is why this doesn't feel good to me, okay? So, yes, I've got room for 3 more. The ship is almost ready, almost ready. And you too can be a part of it. You guys, I'm telling you, I'm trying to be here for Billy. I just don't know if I can do it. I just don't know. I want Billy to succeed. I want Billy. I want Billy to have a second chance. I really do. Billy, can you have a second chance? Can we make it work, Billy? I don't know, because this is what you're putting out now. This is what you're putting out. So I don't know. Let's see what he's saying about Fire Festival here. He's got something here. And he hasn't posted a lot recently. I don't know what's going on here. It says here, Fire Festival 2 has more interest than last time with $0 in marketing spend. But it's not what you think. How do you want to be involved? Okay, let's break down that first part there. Fire Festival 2 has more interest than last time with $0 in marketing. Do you know why Fire Festival 2 has more interest, you guys? Because people are not necessarily, notice the words, okay? He says, has, and I need to click back on it because I want to get this right. He says, has more interest. He didn't say there are more completed ticket sales. He doesn't really have any sales yet. But do you see what I'm saying? Like, more interest, what does that mean? What does more interest mean? So the news media is hearing about it and they want to know what you're talking about. You've called up investors and now more investors want to hear more about it. But is that translating into actual support? Do you have investors? Do you have people who are ready to sign contracts with you? How many contracts do you have? Do you have brands that are ready to collaborate with you? He's not giving you any actual information here. He says he has more interest. That's it. More interest in what? Where it's going to be, when it's going to be, what it's going to be. Interest doesn't mean anything if you don't know what the interest is in. And this is, again, this is why I want to give Billy his second chance. I want Billy to do well. I want Billy to make that money so that he can pay back that restitution. But this is just not feeling good. You know, it's just not feeling good. I feel like he's doing the same thing back over again. And he knows that there's something missing here, because look at the second sentence. The second sentence says, but it's not what you think. Well, what am I thinking? What am I thinking? What do you think I'm thinking? I'm probably thinking, yeah, no, this is Billy, this is not it. But like I said before, some people are supporting him. I'm just saying, if this is something that you are going to stick with Billy on, ask more questions. Dude, what are you talking about with this whole 100K retainer? What are you talking about with interest? What kind of interest? What is this whole Pirate Billy? You guys, if you guys go look at the deck for that, I had problems with it. And it's really long. But yeah, but there is a piece of me that wants to support someone who says, you know what, I messed up. Sure, I messed up. We all mess up. I would hope that we would all have the opportunity to have a second chance, a do-over. That would be good. And so with Billy, I don't know. With Billy, I'm still concerned. I want both him, and when Elizabeth gets out, hopefully she can find her place and work on this $452 million in restitution. You guys, that's a lot of money. We're talking $500 million almost. That's a lot of money. So yeah, so that's Billy. I'm not understanding, like I said before, I'm not understanding this tweet. This is the pinned tweet here, and I guess it is pinned because he wants you to pay quite a bit of attention to it. I'm live. Then you have, do you want to come in and talk? You want to get on the live? So we have someone who's going to join us for the live. Let me switch back over so we can see here. Yeah, so she's joining me for the live.
So I just went next door to pet Annie, Jake, and Pork Chop.
Pork Chop.
No, it's lamb chop.
Lamb
Annie,
chop.
Jake, and lamb chop.
I take it those are dogs.
Yes. I hate to pick favorites, but Jake is my favorite. Annie doesn't like me, I don't think. And lamb chop doesn't care about anything, but Jake is really friendly.
Gotcha.
Okay. And so, you know, I have to live vicariously through my neighbor's dogs because we don't have any.
We're not getting any. All right.
So I have to go and ask the neighbor if I can pet her dogs.
Yep, that's right. Ask the neighbor.
It's a good thing she has 3.
Yep, she has 3 dogs. The neighbor has 3 dogs. Billy, let's look back at Billy. Okay, so we're going down here through Billy, and I don't know what that promoted tweet is down there. If you put 30 under 30 or an article about yourself in your bio, you're completely fake. What? I'm just going to skip that. I mean, he posted that, what, an hour ago? No one with any experience will take you seriously. Real people are the story, not the footnote in a media scheme. Like, who learn to be your own story? Who is telling him that this is good stuff to write? Who? Who is he listening to? Can somebody help him out? Please? Can somebody just help him out? So he's still getting interest, okay? See, this is what I mean. This is interest. Eyeballs can be interest, people. Eyeballs can be interest. So look at this, okay? Last edited 3:24 p.m., approximately 2 hours ago, Eastern Standard Time. 4,733 views. So he's getting some eyeballs. There's definitely interest. I'm interested. He got 4 retweets and 20 likes. Yeah. Let's see what people said here. If you had to troll, what would your bio be? Cheese sandwich reparations officer. Okay, yeah. Is this a real account or a parody account? Just double checking. Exactly. Real people go out and commit a big old massive fraud. This shows extreme insecurity, Billy Boy. Rage bait, you are now a parody. This guy's laughing at everyone's face. He scammed like it's nothing. Dude, is this for real? Are you for real? Are you talking to yourself? Does anybody take this seriously? We need answers. This person's like, where's Ja Rule? We need answers. So, yeah. So you have people who are looking at this. I mean, think now. He got 20 likes, but all of the people who are commenting do not sound like they like any of this. And what did I say before I even looked at the comments? It's just like there is a better way to do Billy McFarland 2.0. There's a better way, and I hope that when Elizabeth is done serving her time, that she has some people around her who can help advise her about how to come back, how to give back, how to apologize and show that you are sincere. I think that's part of it. I think Billy is not coming across as someone who's really sincere about what went on and the harm that he caused. Look here, he's got 10,000 followers. He's following 403. And look at this. He's not followed by anyone I'm following. But yeah, so how do we, how does he 12 Hebrew tribes says, get her a dog. She loves them. One of the people who was watching said I should get you a dog.
Oh, they really enjoyed hearing about it. I'm so happy.
So yeah, so Billy, I don't know. I did read somewhere that there were 2 agencies that were working with him. And one, it sounded like it was a tech agency, a tech-oriented sort of agency, and I don't remember what the other one was. I read that in an article somewhere, so you can take that with a grain of salt. It was not any research that I did on my own to confirm that. But here's the thing. So if Billy could find someone who could help him work on his messaging a little bit, and to try to stop sounding so, I mean, that almost sounds preachy. Like, I'm going to preach to you, because, I just got out of jail last year, but I'm going to preach to you about how your bio looks like crap if and fake. If you put this in there, no one's gonna. I mean, oh my gosh, why would you even put this? Billy, why would you put this in here? There was that one with the, oh my gosh. Okay, so this is the one, and I'm gonna do this one in a separate video. I'm gonna come back and really talk about this a little bit more. I know it feels like, well, Sheila, you're talking about it now. He did this chase one where he's showing this $12 million coming in and coming out of the account. This was when everything was blowing up. Okay. Yeah. And maybe I already did that, you guys know. I just don't remember. Okay. But let's see. I was trying to find the other one. But he has been giving, he said he's going to give this sort of breakdown of how much he's paying in restitution each month. Here was the one with the commute thing. This was when I was like, this is more cringe than I don't even know what to say. Had 149 likes. I would love to see who those people are. Really? Yeah. Okay. You got to think twice about him if he's putting that out there. But yes. So that sort of brings us up to speed with Elizabeth Holmes, some on Billy McFarland. It just, yeah, she's had baby number 2 now. They've had baby number 2 now. And we'll see how it goes. I mean, I hope that they're able to take advantage of what the court has for them in terms of them being able to show, the video and her being able to have her kids and try to build relationships with them, even though she is here at Federal Prison Camp Bryan in Texas. But yeah, let me know in your comments your thoughts about this. Again, just doing a little bit of talk about Elizabeth Holmes, who is now reported to prison. She is serving her time with 2 young children at home. Lonnie Lee says Billy hasn't learned yet he's going back to prison. I hope not, Lonnie. I really think that it's important who you have around you. And so here's sort of the difference between Elizabeth Holmes and Lonnie Lee. I think Elizabeth Holmes is actually going to do things different when she gets out, because she was already doing things different before she went in. Now, let's put aside we're traveling the country and that sort of thing, but she was doing a lot more volunteer work, and she has her parents. I think that if her parents are still alive when she gets out, then they will be a big influence on her too. So I think having them close to her could help her navigate Elizabeth Holmes 2.0 and pay some of that restitution back. I think her path is going to be different from Billy's. Billy seems to be following the same path that he did before he went into prison. And I think that's what's concerning, that we're watching this unfold now and we're just like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And it's very concerning because it doesn't look like he's getting it right. So it makes you wonder who is advising him. I don't know. Lonnie, if you know someone, send him an email. Billy, I've got somebody for you who can help you navigate Billy 2.0 so that it's not scammy Billy 2.0. Because we're here for you. We want you to have a second chance. We want you to get it right. We want you to pay back the restitution. We want to see you succeed and do well in life. We don't want to see you fall, but it's concerning to see what we see now. All right. Thank you so much. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up, and thank you for sticking around through this talk about Elizabeth Holmes and Billy McFarland. And like I said, I'll do a separate video on Billy. Maybe I'll come back and do a live later where we can talk a little bit more just about him and looking at his Twitter and looking at his Instagram and seeing what he's put out there, talking a little bit about this pirate deck that he shared and whether or not it just sounds like a whole pie in the sky, a bunch of clouds. You guys let me know. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe. Peace.